let's talk about the moment your twin flame looks at you with tears in their eyes and says, "I love you, but I have to go." It's the spiritual equivalent of being handed a beautifully wrapped box, only to find it empty. Or is it? What if that emptiness isn't an absence, but a vessel? A space where something far more profound than daily texts and shared coffee cups can take root. Imagine a sculptor staring at a block of marble. To the untrained eye, it's just a rock. But the artist? They see the masterpiece within, the form waiting to be revealed by what's removed. That's what this separation phase really is. The chisels striking away everything that isn't essential love. Your twin flame didn't leave because the love wasn't real. They left because it was so real it threatened to eclipse the unfinished parts of you both. Like two trees planted too close together, you needed space to grow roots deep enough to weather future storms. Ever notice how you can be mid-sentence with someone and suddenly feel their discomfort before they say a word? That's your energy bodies conversing. Now amplify that by 1,000. That's twin flame communication during silence. You might be sitting at your desk on a Tuesday afternoon when, bam, their energy hits you like a rogue wave. No text, no call, just this visceral knowing they're thinking of you. Later, you'll discover they were playing your song at that exact moment, or dreaming about a place you'd once promised to visit together. Coincidence? Please. The universe doesn't do cheap parlor tricks. Here's the paradox that'll make your logical brain short-circuit. The more you release them, the tighter the bond becomes. Not in a clingy, "I'll die without you" way, but in that quiet, unshakable way stars millions of light years apart remain connected across the void. Try this experiment. Next time you ache for contact, imagine placing them in a velvet-lined box in your heart. Not to forget them, but to honor them. You'll start noticing something peculiar. Their energy visits more when you're not desperately scanning for signs. Like a shy deer, connection comes closest when you pretend not to be watching. Ancient mystery schools had a process: separation, initiation, return. The seeker was deliberately isolated, not as punishment, but to encounter their deepest truths without distractions. Sound familiar? Your twin flame separation is a modern-day mystery school with worse Wi-Fi and no instruction manual. The curriculum: learning to trust love that doesn't come with receipts. Discovering your whole, even when half your soul is elsewhere. Realizing the reunion was never the goal, the transformation was. One day, you'll catch yourself laughing at something they would have found hilarious and realize they're still with you, not as a missing piece, but as a whisper in your bloodstream, a tilt in your smile, a new lens filtering the world. The separation wasn't breaking you apart. It was teaching you how to hold each other without touching. And when you finally meet again, whether in this lifetime or another, you'll recognize each other not by the memories you share, but by the light you've each become in the other's absence. Now, isn't that worth the wait? Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The one wearing a "I love you, but I can't do this right now" t-shirt while slowly backing out the door. You're standing there, heart in your hands, wondering how love this fierce could possibly come with an expiration date. How can someone look into your soul like they've known you for lifetimes then suddenly say, yeah, no, I gotta go. Here's the thing. Separation in a twin flame journey isn't an end. It's an intermission. A really, really annoying intermission where the universe hits pause and says, cool love story, but let's work on some personal development first. Think of it like a cosmic software update. You can't run the latest version of your soul's operating system while still clinging to old bugs, fear, insecurity, past traumas. So the connection glitches. One of you, or both, freaks out, and suddenly you're in this weird limbo where love exists, but the relationship doesn't. Twin flames are mirrors, not the kind that flatter you with good lighting. No, we're talking about those brutal, magnifying mirrors that show every pore, every scar, every unhealed wound you've been ignoring. And when the reflection gets too real, the ego panics. Some bolt, some freeze, some start an emotional game of hot potato, tossing love back and forth like, here, you take it. No, you take it. Ever seen a scared cat that knocks over a vase while fleeing? That's your twin flame right now. They didn't stop loving you. They just got spooked by the intensity. Maybe it's fear of losing themselves in the merge. If I stay, will I even exist anymore? Maybe it's past trauma whispering, this kind of love always ends in pain. Or maybe the universe just needs them to finish their solo quest before the reunion tour. Separation isn't punishment, it's divine redirect. Imagine your souls signed a contract before this lifetime. We'll find each other, wake each other up, then take a breather to actually become the people who can handle this. Annoying, absolutely. Necessary? Unfortunately, yes. This is the part where you learn to love like a whole person, not a half searching for completion. You start asking, can I be happy even if they never come back? Do I love them, or do I love how they make me feel? Am I ready to face the parts of me this connection exposed? It's like spiritual CrossFit. Painful, sweaty, but damn, do you come out stronger? And here's the kicker. They still feel you. Distance doesn't break a twin flame bond. It just changes the frequency. You'll catch their thoughts like radio static. Why am I suddenly missing them today? Ew. You'll dream of them in vivid HD. You'll feel their energy tugging at 3 a.m. for no reason. Love doesn't vanish. It goes underground, working in the dark like roots before the bloom. So if you're sitting there thinking, if they loved me, they wouldn't have left, try this instead. If they didn't love me, leaving wouldn't have hurt them so much. The light at the end of the seemingly endless tunnel. This phase will test every ounce of your faith. Some days you'll laugh at the absurdity of it all. Ah yes, my favorite horror genre, romantic spirituality. Other days you'll ugly cry into your tea. But here's what's true. Love that's real doesn't evaporate. It evolves. Maybe they return. Maybe they don't. But the love, that stays. And so does the person you're becoming because of it. Softer, wiser, and finally ready for a love that doesn't ask you to abandon yourself. You know that feeling when someone hands you a gift wrapped in thorns? Yeah, that's pretty much what it's like when your twin flame says, I love you, but I can't be with you. It's the emotional equivalent of being handed a burning ice cube. It doesn't make sense. It hurts. And yet, somehow, you can't let go. because love is still there, pulsing between you like a heartbeat. No distance can silence. So what's really going on here? Why would someone who mirrors your soul, who sees you in ways no one else ever has, suddenly slam on the brakes and say, "This is too much"? Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean. The water is so clear, so inviting, you can't resist stepping in. But the deeper you go, the stronger the current pulls, not to drag you under, but to merge you with something vast and boundless. That's twin flame love, and for some, that kind of surrender is terrifying. Your twin flame might love you with every fiber of their being, but if they haven't yet learned to swim in those depths, they'll panic. It's not about you. It's about their own unfinished relationship with love itself. Maybe they've been burned before, and now their heart operates on a better to leave first than be left policy. Maybe they're afraid of losing themselves in you, like a drop of ink in water, beautiful but irreversible. Or maybe, just maybe, they're running because loving you forces them to confront the parts of themselves they've been avoiding. Here's the hard pill to swallow. Love doesn't magically erase fear. You could be the most patient, understanding, radiant version of yourself, and it still might not be enough. Yet. Not because you're lacking, but because they have some inner work to do. And sometimes that work can't happen while they're tangled up in the intensity of the connection. Think of it like trying to fix a car while it's still speeding down the highway. Sometimes you gotta pull over, pop the hood, and figure out why the engine's smoking. Doesn't mean the car's totaled, just means it needs a minute. Ever notice how, even in silence, you still feel them? Like their energy lingers in the air long after they're gone? That's because twin flames don't just communicate through words. They communicate through frequency. You might catch yourself thinking of them right before they text, or you'll dream of them in vivid, almost prophetic detail. Or you'll hear that song, the one that was yours, and suddenly you're drowning in memories you didn't even realize you were holding onto. This is the universe's way of whispering, they're still yours, just not right now. Waiting for a twin flame isn't passive, it's active. It's the universe's way of saying, while they're figuring themselves out, why don't you level up too? This is where the real magic happens, where you stop asking, why won't they choose me? And start asking, why am I still waiting for permission to be happy? Because here's the secret, the reunion you're aching for, it doesn't happen when they're ready. It happens when you no longer need it to feel whole. So yes, it hurts. Yes, it's confusing. And yes, some days you'll want to scream into the void, if you love me, why are we doing this? But the truth is, sometimes love means walking away. Not because it's gone, but because it's waiting for both of you to grow into the kind of love that doesn't just burn, but lasts. And when that day comes, oh, darling, you'll look back and realize every step of this heartache was leading you exactly where you needed to be. Let's talk about the divine timing. You know, that mysterious cosmic force that seems to operate on a calendar written in invisible ink, where soon could mean tomorrow or 3 lifetimes from now. It's like waiting for a text back from the universe. You keep checking your spiritual inbox, but all you get is radio silence and the occasional cryptic synchronicity that leaves you more confused than before. Why would the universe dangle this once-in-all existence's love in front of you, only to say, wait for it, wait for it. Nope, not yet. Imagine your twin flame connection is a stew. You've got all the right ingredients: chemistry, depth, that eerie sense of recognition. But if you take it off the heat too soon, it's just a bunch of raw potatoes floating in broth. Divine timing is the universe's way of saying, let it simmer, darling. This needs to cook. You might be ready. They might think they're ready. But if the lessons aren't learned, the wounds aren't healed, and the selves aren't yet forged in the fires of growth, that reunion will taste undercooked, and nobody wants a half-baked soulmate. Here's where it gets wild. Before you incarnated, you and your twin flame might have agreed to this separation, not as punishment, but as the ultimate growth hack. Maybe one of you needed to build a career that would later support your shared mission, heal ancestral trauma so it wouldn't poison your future, learn independence after lifetimes of codependency, or simply develop the emotional muscles to carry this Everest of a love. It's like signing up for a marathon when you can barely jog. The universe lovingly forces you to train first. Annoying? Absolutely. Necessary? Unfortunately, yes. Those maddening pauses aren't empty spaces. They're living classrooms. Every lonely night, every unanswered prayer, every "why isn't this happening?" is actually shaping you into someone who can love without possession, trust without evidence, stay soft in a world that hardens. And isn't that the whole point? To become a love so strong, so flexible, so unshakable that when union comes, it doesn't break you with its intensity. Here's the hilarious paradox. The more you obsess over timing, the longer it takes. Like watching a pot that refuses to boil. But the moment you truly surrender, not with resignation, but with the deep knowing that everything is unfolding perfectly, that's when the magic happens. So if you're stuck in the waiting room of love today, try this radical thought. What if this delay isn't blocking your happiness, but building it? What if every lonely moment is secretly constructing the foundation for a love so solid, no storm could topple it? The universe isn't cruel, it's just playing the long game. And darling, so are you. You ever notice how the deepest love stories are often the quietest? No grand gestures, no dramatic declarations, just this unshakable knowing that hums beneath the noise of everyday life. That's where your twin flame lives now, in the silence between your thoughts, in the way your heart still answers when no one's calling. So why the radio silence? Why would someone who once spoke the language of your soul suddenly go mute? Picture this. Your connection is a river. For a while, it flowed above ground, visible, tangible, something you could dip your hands into. But now, it's gone subterranean. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, carving canyons beneath the surface, reshaping the landscape of both your hearts in ways that'll only make sense later. This isn't abandonment, it's sacred encryption. The universe has switched your communication from text messages to soul Morse code. You'll feel it in that inexplicable urge to check their social media, at 2:17 a.m. and finding they were online at 2:16, the song that randomly plays that was yours. The dream so vivid you wake up grieving a loss that isn't technically real. Here's where it gets beautifully tragic. You're learning to love without the dopamine hits of reciprocation. No good morning texts, no reassurance, no physical proof. Just you and this stubborn, illogical certainty that what you shared wasn't imaginary. It's like tending a garden you can't see. You water soil that shows no sprouts, trusting the seeds are still alive underground. Some days you'll question your sanity. Other days, you'll feel their presence so strongly, you'll turn around expecting to see them. That last one's the kicker. The reunion you crave? It's already happening, just not where you're looking. Every time you catch yourself responding with their imagined wisdom, every time you feel their energy comfort you during tough moments, that's the real magic. You're not waiting for them, you're integrating them. One day, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a decade, you'll realize something hilarious. This silent period will become the most treasured chapter of your story. Not despite the pain, but because of it. These are the nights that'll forge your spiritual backbone, the unanswered questions that'll teach you to trust the unseen. So tonight, when the missing hits like a sucker punch to the solar plexus, try this. Whisper what you need to say into the dark. Then get still enough to hear the reply that comes, not through your phone, but through that quiet knowing in your bones. The conversation never stopped. You just had to learn to listen differently. Let's be real for a moment. If soul connections came with GPS trackers and red receipts, this whole twin flame journey would be a lot less like a cosmic scavenger hunt and more like a well-marked highway. But here you are, standing at the edge of understanding, holding a love that feels like a star, blindingly bright from afar, yet impossible to grasp in your hands. So where does that leave you? In the quiet, in the unknown, in the sacred, infuriating, miraculous not yet. Think of the most breathtaking stained glass window you've ever seen. Now imagine if someone tried to assemble it while the glass was still molten. The pieces would bleed into each other, the colors muddy, the design lost. That's why the universe presses pause. Not because the vision isn't glorious, but because it's still setting. Your separation isn't a failure of love. It's love's most radical act of preservation. Every day apart is another degree of spiritual tempering, another layer of resilience being added to what will one day be an unbreakable bond. You're not being abandoned, you're being fortified. Here's a delicious paradox. While you've been counting the days since you last spoke, your twin flame has been having the same sleepless nights. While you've been decoding old texts for hidden meanings, they've been smelling your perfume on strangers. This isn't separation, it's synchronized soul evolution. You're like two trees planted in different forests, reaching for the same sun. The distance isn't keeping you apart, it's giving you both room to grow tall enough to eventually see each other above the canopy. One day, maybe when you least expect it, this chapter will make perfect sense. You'll look back and see how every tear watered something essential in you, how every lonely night carved out space for wisdom, how the goodbye you thought was an ending was actually love's clever way of making sure you'd both arrive at hello as whole, healed, astonishing versions of yourselves. Until then, keep living, keep loving, keep becoming someone who doesn't need this reunion to be complete, but who's ready to choose it from a place of overflowing wholeness. Because here's the ultimate truth. Twin flames don't find each other to live happily ever after. They find each other to remember, and then they get the extraordinary privilege of creating something even better than fairy tales. A love that's been forged in absence, tempered by time, and proven unshakable by life itself. Now that's a story worth waiting for.